You know, when you walk through a bustling city, it can feel like just a chaotic mix of people and businesses, right? But have you ever really stopped to think about what's actually powering it all? Well, today we're going to peel back the layers of a city's workforce. We'll look at everyone from the street side vendor to the person running a high end showroom to really understand the two very different worlds of work that exist, literally side by side. And that quote, it's not just a cool phrase, it's a fundamental economic truth. A city's incredible energy comes from this nonstop cycle of work. I mean, from the vendors setting up before the sun even rises to office workers burning the midnight oil, this constant motion is fueled by millions of people, each with their own unique story. So let's picture it. You step out onto a main street really early in the morning, it's already humming with activity. The first thing you might see is a vegetable vendor, carefully setting up their display, getting all those tomatoes and carrots just right for the day's customers. It might look a little chaotic, but it's actually incredibly organized. Then, right next to them, you get this amazing splash of color, a flower stall. And these aren't just random shops, you know? They're often family businesses, really the lifeblood of the street. They add so much character, for sure, but they also represent that incredible entrepreneurial spirit that just thrives in these urban spaces. And if you look a little further down, maybe under a tree, there's the cobbler, setting up his little shop from a small tin box. You might see a roadside barber giving someone an early morning shave. All these people are self-employed, literally carving out a living for themselves right there on the pavement. But what are their lives really like? Okay, so to understand this world better, let's zoom in from that wide view of the busy street and focus on just one person's story. Let's meet Bachu Manji. He's a cycle rickshaw puller. And his story is one you hear over and over again in big cities. What Bachu says here really captures that powerful magnetic pull of a city. For millions of people, the city isn't just a place, it's a promise, right? It's a chance to earn enough to support your family, something that just wasn't possible back home. But that promise, that opportunity, it definitely comes at a price. His workday is unbelievably long and just grueling. From the early morning hours until late at night, he is constantly moving, taking people up to 6 kilometers away. That is just brutal, physical work, day after day. And for a full day of that back-breaking labor, this is what he earns, on average, 80 to 100 rupees. Just let that number sink in for a second. It's such a stark figure, and it immediately makes you wonder how on earth do you even survive on that amount in a big, expensive city? This little table, it just lays out the incredibly harsh reality. So after he pays for his own basic food and a place to sleep, the amount left over to send back home to his family is just 20 to 40 rupees. Think about that. On an income like this, getting sick for just one day isn't an inconvenience. It's a potential financial catastrophe. Now, the thing is, Baichu's story isn't an isolated one, not even close. It's a window into this massive street economy, a world of work that pretty much operates without any kind of safety net. So let's zoom back out and look at the bigger picture here. A survey in the city of Ahmedabad found that a staggering 12% of all workers were people making their living on the street. That's more than 1 out of every 10 people. So this isn't some small fringe part of the economy. It is a massive and absolutely essential component. So what does life in this economy really look like? Well, first, you're your own boss. Sounds great, right? But that also means you're your own supplier, your own accountant, and your own salesperson. Second, your workplace isn't permanent. Your shop is probably a temporary setup, and at any moment the police can come and tell you to dismantle the entire thing. The bottom line is, there is zero job security. None. But okay, there is some good news here. Perceptions are slowly starting to shift. Organizations and even governments are beginning to see street vending not as a nuisance, but as a legitimate right to a livelihood. There's a growing movement to change the laws and create designated hawking zones so vendors can have a secure place to do their work. All right, now I want you to completely switch gears with me. Because just a few streets away from where Bachu is pulling his rickshaw, a totally different world of work exists. Let's step off the pavement for a minute and go inside a formal business to see the contrast, a modern showroom. Let's meet Harpreet and Vandana. They're business owners who spotted a trend that more and more people wanted to buy ready-made clothes, and they built a whole business around it. So, unlike Bachu, who's focused on just getting through the day,
They're making long-term plans and adapting to what the market wants.
Their business is a permanent 3-story building. It has formal displays and different departments for different clothes. This kind of scale and stability is just a world away from a temporary stall on the street. And because they're a licensed business, they have access to things like bank loans and legal protections, things that are completely out of reach for someone in the informal sector.
I mean, when you put them side by side like this, the difference is just wow. On one hand, you have the informal economy. You organize everything yourself, your setup is temporary, and you're totally focused on daily survival. And on the other, you have the formal economy, structured, permanent, and with a level of security that allows you to actually plan for the future. So we've got these two completely different worlds. But here's the most fascinating part. They aren't actually separate. They exist right next to each other, all part of a single, complex, and totally interconnected city. The street vendor and the showroom owner, they share the same city. Their day-to-day realities might as well be on different planets, but their lives are unfolding on the exact same grid of streets. One might even be a customer of the other. They are both absolutely essential threads in the city's economic fabric. And this really brings us to the central, most important question for any modern city. How do we build an economy that actually works for everyone? How can we make sure that the rickshaw puller has security and stability, and that the showroom owner has the opportunity to grow and thrive? The answer to that question really defines the character of a city, and it shapes the future for the millions of people who call it home. It's definitely something to think about the next time you're walking down a busy street. You know, every city has this energy, right? And that energy, that pulse, it comes from the millions of people hustling every single day. But have you ever stopped to think about how they actually make a living? Today, we're going to do just that. We're diving into a tale of 3 very different jobs right in the heart of the city. So what does it take to make a living in a big city? I mean, really? Is it about taking huge risks? Or is it better to play it safe and find a secure job? Maybe it's something else entirely. Well, we're about to find out. And forget about boring charts and numbers. We're going to do this by following 3 actual stories. Each one gives us a window into a totally different way people get by in the city. So let's jump in. Okay, first up, we've got what you might call the entrepreneur's dream. Let's meet Harpreet and Vandana. They're a couple who decided, you know what? We're going to do our own thing. And they built a business completely from scratch. So what do? They run the super successful showroom for ready-made clothes. And since they're their own bosses, they do it all. Advertising, managing the money, you name it. And you can see their success, right? They're renting now, but planning to buy their building. They've already bought a car, a flat. Heck, business is good enough that they've hired other people, supervisors and helpers, to work for them. It's that classic story of building something from the ground up. But not everyone in the city gets to be their own boss. In fact, for a lot of people, the reality is the complete opposite. Some folks wake up not even knowing if they'll have work for the day. And that brings us to this place. It's called a labor chowk. Picture this. It's a street corner where workers, daily wage laborers, gather every single morning with their tools, just waiting for someone to come by and hire them for the day. Talk about a different world from owning your own showroom, right? And this is where we meet our second person, Nirmala. She's a tailor working in a garment factory. And her story, wow, it really pulls back the curtain on what life is like for so many of the city's casual workers. See, Nirmala's job is completely seasonal. The factory she works at makes summer clothes that get shipped off to places like the USA, the UK, and Germany. So from about December through April, it's go, go, go. We're talking crazy long hours, weekends, the whole thing. But then, look what happens. By June, all the orders are done. The work is over, and she's just asked to leave. Just like that. Her job is gone until the next season. And for a normal 8-hour day, Nirmala makes 80 rupees. 80. That's her base pay. She might get a little extra if she works late. Just let that number sit with you for a second. So this is the reality of being a casual worker. You're looking at shifts from 9 in the morning till 10 at night, sometimes even later. You're working 6 days a week, maybe even Sundays. And the worst part? Absolutely zero job security. She can be told to leave at any time for any reason. And if there's ill treatment, there's no protection. On top of all that, for 3 or 4 months out of the year, she has to find something else, anything else, just to get by. Okay, let's shift gears completely for our third and final story. This one is a world away from Nirmala's. Let's meet Sudha.
She's a salaried professional representing that stable 9-to-5 side of city life.
So Sutha is a marketing manager. She works for a big biscuit company, and her job is to supervise a whole team. We're talking 50 salespersons all over the city. Her world is all about structure, regular hours, and, being part of a big company.
And this is the huge difference. Being a permanent worker comes with a massive safety net. She gets a regular salary every single month. The company contributes to a savings fund for her old age. She gets paid holidays, Sundays off, national holidays, even annual leave. The company helps pay for medical stuff for her family. If she gets sick and can't work, she still gets paid. That right there is job security.
So there you have it. Two people living in the same city but on two completely different paths. We've got Nirmala, the casual worker, and Sudha, the salaried professional. Now let's really break it down and put their situations side by side.
It really all boils down to this. A casual worker is hired only when the boss needs them. There's just no guarantee of work tomorrow. A permanent worker, on the other hand, has a regular job that's expected to continue. They've got security and benefits. It's the difference between uncertainty and stability.
And this comparison makes it crystal clear. Look at job security. For Nirmala, there is none. For Sudha, it's high. What about pay? Nirmala gets a daily wage and then nothing for months. Sudha gets that regular monthly salary. And benefits? Nirmala has none. Sudha gets the whole package. Savings, paid leaves, medical. I mean, they might be in the same city, but they are living in two totally different worlds.
But here's the thing, and this is probably the most important point of all. These three people, Harpreet the entrepreneur, Nirmala the casual worker, and Sudha the professional, they've probably never met. They might never cross paths, but their work, their lives, are absolutely tied together. So that leaves us with one final thought. A question for you, really. How does one person's work depend on another's? Next time you're out and about in your city, just look around. Think about the person who made your coffee, the one driving the bus, the person who designed the app on your phone. How do all their jobs, all their lives, connect and overlap to make the city work? It's this incredible, complex web. And once you start noticing the threads, you see them everywhere.